best of the rest of the news. Ron Paul made a surprise appearance in the Republican National Convention floor this afternoon, receiving a standing ovation and raucous cheers from his supporters. Since he's not speaking at the convention, Paul's appearance at the RNC today is being described as a show of solidarity with his several hundred delegates who are in Tampa. These same delegates feel that they're being largely overlooked and marginalized by convention organizers and by the Republican Party as a whole. And they're now trying to mount a fight with the party over its new rules, which limit the ability of non-establishment candidates like Paul to bring delegates to future Republican candidates. While Mitt Romney has more than enough delegates to secure the nomination and win any floor fight, in fact, he did win it today, the nomination, the divide between Paul's supporters and the rest of the party is being seen as a distraction and a controversy that the Republicans don't want and maybe can't even afford, especially as they try to unite and throw all their energy and support behind Romney. Joining me now to talk more about the growing controversy in Tampa and the Paulista's effect on the GOP establishment is Austin Peterson, Director of Production at FreedomWorks. Austin, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you with us. I understand you just got back from Tampa.
Yes, I did. I was there with FreedomWorks activists trying to help shape the Republican Party platform. The shaping of the platform occurs the week before the convention. That's when all of the delegates get together and decide what the conversation of the Republican Party should be going forward.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, FreedomWorks is kind of a Koch brothers thing, and Ron Paul and his libertarian thing is kind of a Ron Paul thing.
Just to be technically accurate, there is no connection between FreedomWorks and the Koch brothers. They don't receive any donations from the Koch brothers. The Americans for Prosperity is a separate organization from FreedomWorks, which split from the Koch brothers organizations quite a while ago. So we are an independent organization, okay. And the Ron Paul supporters are themselves very independent of all of those groups.
So FreedomWorks then is more of a Ron Paul mind?
You would say that it is of a Ron Paul mind, yes. There are mostly libertarians who work there, and Tea Partiers, grassroots conservatives, people who really believe in limited government. All we really care about is economics, and if you fit the bill for limited government economics, then you can be a freedom worker.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the RNC's treatment of Ron Paul's supporters?
I think it's disgusting. I think it's terrible. I think that it's causing a rift that the Mitt Romney does not need right now. The Ron Paul delegates who were at the convention knew that they were not going to win the nomination for Ron Paul. All they really wanted was that Ron Paul would be given his due, 15 minutes of speaking time and a little bit of respect for this 10-term congressman who served as an Air Force flight surgeon and served his country honorably and well, and they didn't get that. And unfortunately, what happened was the Ron Paul supporters who were there, who were simply trying to get their due, they won their delegation seats, they were trying to get their seats today. The conservative grassroots actually teamed up with the conservative establishment to smack down the Ron Paul supporters, and what happened was there was a rule that was introduced to stop future Ron Paul type campaigns. And what happened was all of the conservative grassroots, when they saw the rule, they realized, oh, wait a minute, this isn't meant to disenfranchise Ron Paul supporters. It's meant to disenfranchise the entire grassroots base of the Republican Party. Right. And so it was too late by that time, and the establishment managed to pass this rule, which changes the game for the future, so that almost no anti-establishment candidate would have a chance in the future to be able to mount a campaign.
Does this mean that the Bull Moose Party or some variation of it is going to reemerge, that there'll be a new split out of this?
It's becoming very dangerously close to that. Republicans, people who would call themselves Republicans who are truly libertarians have come up to me today and sent me thousands of emails and tweets saying, there's absolutely no way that I can get behind this Romney-Ryan ticket. What should I do, Austin? What should I do? Should we start a new party? And it does seem to be that there is some talk about that.
Right. Dick Armey is a multimillionaire lobbyist here on K Street in D.C. Isn't he the head of FreedomWorks?
Yes, he is the technical head of FreedomWorks, but our new real head, who is the president and CEO, who is the functioning manager of FreedomWorks, is a man by the name of Matt Kibbe, who is a real Ron Paul libertarian.
Okay, and Armey is the sitting chairman.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Can you identify any country in the history of the world, anywhere, that has had a middle class as a consequence of libertarian economic policies?
Absolutely. The United States has, absolutely.
When?
Well, there's been several periods in the United States where we were a little bit more free than others. I think one of the best periods that you could look at in American history is the time that we were on the gold standard. Some people
You're talking about the Gilded Age. There was virtually no middle class then.
Well, there was a burgeoning middle class. That was the growth of the middle class in the United States when we had a gold standard.
That was the growth of the robber barons.
Well, this was the Democratic President Grover Cleveland, who was one of the best presidents in American history that we had, one of the last good Democrats.
Who in 1887, in his speech, his annual address to the nation, his State of the Union address, said that we are seeing corporations rise up and put their iron heel on the necks of the citizens.
You know, Tom, I have to say, it's always so disingenuous of the left when they try and paint libertarians as being so pro-corporatist, when it is really libertarians that go out and fight the fights against these corporations and the lobbying that they do and the corporate subsidies that they get all the time. We are so against welfare.
What is the opposite then? If you're going to say we want freedom
welfare for
from
none.
Government,
that's right.
Then what is the alternative? Somebody has to be providing things. Somebody has to be doing things. If it's not government,
right.
It's going to be
50% of the people in this country are doing things, and the other 50% of the country are taking from them. So yeah, there are people doing things in this country. Yeah, absolutely, Tom.
Ayn Rand nonsense. What, the takers and the makers?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Mitt Romney is one of the takers?
Well, I don't know much about Mitt Romney's corporate past, but at least Mitt Romney understands the fact is that capitalism produces a middle class, and that's what you want in this country. We want to have a strong middle class.
The biggest and strongest middle class in the United States was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s, and it was the result of government programs. It was the result of Dwight Eisenhower spending a fortune in the 1950s because we had 120% of GDP.
Who will build the roads? There are plenty of places.
He built the roads. He built highways. He built schools. He built all kinds of stuff.
Right, and
it got us out of the debt.
But where did the money come to build the roads, Tom?
He borrowed it.
He borrowed it, right? But who had to make the money? You have to make money to spend money, Tom, in this country. He
stimulated the economy. That stimulus produced enough tax money. It worked.
So then you are a Democratic Party apparatchik, pro-stimulus kind of a guy that says that big government and corporate, because that was a corporatist thing.
I am saying that you cannot identify one country where libertarian principles have ever successfully
You're
produced
sitting in one right now, and you rail against, and the left rails against corporatism.
It was government policies that created the middle class.
So you want a stimulus. So you're a pro-corporatist.
Policies since Reagan that is destroying the middle class in America. Name one country. I can give you 20 or 30 countries.
Estonia, after the fall of the Soviet Union, they liberalized.
Estonia.
Remember, liberalism, classical liberalism, is libertarianism, Tom.
I did my show 2 years ago from Estonia.
Yeah.
And Estonia is very rapidly stratifying into a population of very poor and very rich. You've got the oligarchs driving around in their limousines, and you got basically the peasants.
You got two choices, Tom. You've got liberty or tyranny, and you got to go one way or the other.
Nonsense.
And if you're railing against corporations and you really hate corporatism, then you have to be against stimulus. You have to be against these government work projects because the corporations want stimulus. You understand? The big banks, the big bankers, the financiers, they want stimulus. All of these, the Koch brothers, whoever it is that the conspiracy theory of the left that they're pushing out, you are feeding in to the left's problem. You are feeding into the problem that you are railing against, Tom. If you really want to take power away from corporations, you have to take it away from government. Corporations only get the power that the public gives to them by voluntary interactions and transactions. If you really want to limit the power of corporations, introduce capitalism and free markets, because then they'll have competition. That's how you'll create a middle class.
Like they did in Estonia.
Right after the fall of the Soviet Union, absolutely.
Yes. Okay. One country. One country. All right. Austin, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Tom.